Totalitarianism is comprised of socialism, Marxism, Nazism, communism, and every other ism out there that's anti-American, anti-liberty, anti-life, anti-freedom, anti-justice. Totalitarianism is treason. Make no mistake, the United Nations agenda is to bring the United States of America out of its state of independence as established by our founding fathers, to bring it out of its state of independence and bring it into a global political economy. Once that happens, we have no liberty, we have no justice. Our lives are suddenly dictated by global powers and not individual sovereignty according to our Charter of Liberty, which is comprised of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the human law of rights. This is where we're at. That's why you don't hear very many voices speaking about the Declaration of Independence. You see, Thomas Jefferson was a visionary. He was also a genius. He understood what oppression, abuse, usurpations, and despotism and totalitarianism was all about. He knew the history of the Catholic Church and how they had oppressed those that opposed them, insomuch that, according to the history books, 68 million Protestants were slaughtered by papal authority because they protested Roman Catholic teaching and the complete control of a pope. Thomas Jefferson understood the political oppression that comes by monarchs, dictators, totalitarian regimes. He understood those things, and that's why when he drafted and wrote the Declaration of Independence, which is the foundation of our Constitution and the Bill of Rights, he said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident." This is not decided by a dictator. These truths were not decided and defined by a Supreme Court, by a monarch, by a despotic ruler. These truths that he wrote about were not voted upon by some political party. He said they are self-evident, that all men in that time meant gender neutral, are created equal. And this equality that he wrote about, comprised of life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness, that was equally available to all mankind, all humankind. People say, well, if he wrote that, why did slavery continue? Well, the reason slavery continued for some time, if you read history, just a cursory look at history shows what was taking place at that time. Slavery was a culture. It was a historic tradition. And when Thomas Jefferson penned those words, all of a sudden, culture and tradition collided with principle and morality. And he knew he could not, in the infant stage of this union, this new America, he knew he could not, as one man or as a group of men, completely wipe out slavery. Yes, he had slaves. Many of our early founding fathers had slaves. Had it been attempted at that time to be completely wiped out, this nation would have never progressed. What he was looking for was a unified effort to stomp out slavery by all the states. And that's eventually what Abraham Lincoln was able to accomplish, though there was a bloody war that preceded that. But after 2.5 centuries many of our elected officials are still wanting to enslave people. The Democratic Party was the opposing party to the abolition of slavery because they like slaves. Not all, but many of the political representatives of the Democratic Party, and possibly some Republicans, I'm not sure. But I know it was primarily the political party of the Democrats that opposed the abolition of slavery. They wanted it to continue because they're still after marketing that agenda today. They want you to be a slave to their political ideologies, their political agendas. They love slaves because they can exercise all the power that they want on the political stage to control your life, to control your freedom, to control your liberty, to manipulate justice, and to limit your pursuit of happiness. It's time to take off the gloves. We are dealing with treason, plain and simple. Treason is simply defined as anyone or any political party that supports or defends anti-American liberty. Let's just simplify it. These politicians that hold seats in our American government, they are treasonous. They want to bring you under a global unification of political agendas where America loses its independence, loses its liberty, but will be controlled by a global totalitarian regime. It's nothing new. This went on for centuries and millennials. You see, you either have liberty or enslavement. There's no gray area. There's no in between. It's either one or the other. Treason. These politicians need to be brought before the court of we the people of the United States and convicted of treason as they continue to push their global agendas so that Americans lose their independence. You cannot have liberty without independence, because if you don't have independent sovereignty in the context of liberty, someone is telling you what to do and what not to do. That's dictatorship. That's totalitarianism. But our founding fathers understood individual sovereignty and the accountability and the responsibility and the constitutional conscience inherent within us that accompanied that life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness. It's time to take off the gloves, people. We are in a serious, serious political battle here. I am an American, and I know I'm speaking to many Americans, and I hope that you anti-Americans are listening to me very carefully. If you are a globalist, in the sense of wiping out our independence, our life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as founded by our forefathers, you are my enemy. And it is time that we once again raise up and disconnect, sever the political bands that have connected us. You see, many politicians love the liberty that they have here in this nation and the affluence that they can acquire. But the only reason they want power, the only reason they want freedom is to limit yours. That's why Thomas Jefferson penned those immortal words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. He spoke about inalienable rights given by the law of nature and nature's God. Inalienable. What part of that word do you not understand? They are inalienable, as we've been talking in previous videos about breath, the desire to eat. These are inalienable rights. To breathe, to eat, to walk, to talk, to protect ourselves. These are just inherent within us. Our own biology testifies to those principles and its morality. But when politics starts to lead above the law of nature and nature's God. Corruption, incompetence, evil, reprehensible evil, treason begins to take control. Until next time, be an American.